Hey guys, just me today. That probably would not be the case ordinarily, but I put off putting up the schedule this week on Facebook later than I should have, so I couldn't get anyone to come with me on this one. So it's like, fuck it, I'll just go anyway, cause I got other shit I gotta do this week, and I don't have time to wait for somebody else. So it was either this or what the fuck is that horror movie called? The Gallows. Either this or The Gallows. I looked on Rotten Tomato. I picked the lesser of two evils because God knows I need a movie that's not completely terrible. So I saw Self/Less, which is a movie with Ben Kingsley and Ryan Reynolds, and man, what a waste of a perfectly good concept. Shit. Okay. This is probably gonna be a shorter review. I don't have a lot to say about this movie. I didn't hate it like I did Lazarus Effect, which I think is the last. No, Home. Home was the last solo review I did where I got furious. It's not that bad. It's just a waste of a perfectly good idea and a perfectly good potential for a drama or a thriller. There are a lot of stupid character movies, a lot of plot points that don't make any sense. Some characters are just flat out wasted, and actors that are flat out wasted. Okay, so if you haven't seen the trailer, here's the general concept. It's basically a body swap movie, except it's not a comedy. Which I'm actually, so what I mean by that is Ben Kingsley plays this old dying billionaire named Damien, who apparently has he's dying of some disease, presumably cancer or something like that, but he wants to live on he wants to keep going, he wants to live on forever. And by the way, Ben Kingsley is giving this weird-ass performance. He's doing some kind of, and I really like Ben Kingsley, but here he's doing some weird Brooklyn accent, and it's fucking, I don't know, it's Brooklyn accent or some kind of New Yorker accent. He sounded like the Godfather at one point. It's fucking weird. I'm sorry. I'm a little out of it right now. I'm tired. It's been a long week. I've been editing all week, so I'm a little zonked out. But anywho, so to live on forever, he gets this card from this mysterious organization, which name I forget, to do what's called shedding, which is basically transferring your conscious to another body, but the body is supposedly comatose, has no mind of its own. You're basically just transferring your mind to an empty vessel, or at least that's the sales pitch. So Ben Kingsley transfers his body over to Ryan Reynolds' body, who turns out wasn't a comatose person. He was actually a real guy named Mark, who had a wife and kid, who sold himself to this company so his daughter would not die of whatever mysterious disease she was dying from. But Kingsley realizes this after the company that does it gives out these little red pills, and if you don't take the red pills, you get these random little what they call hallucinations, but really are just memories of the person that they're possessing. Okay, like I said, it sounds like an interesting concept, and there's a lot of potential here. You can make like a legitimately very good drama, or even like a good thriller, which the movie is trying to be. But the problem is it's all style and no substance. There's really not much substance here, and that's the crime. That's the problem. Because it's kind of like it's like Looper, how you had Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt trying to act like each other in the past and the future. Here, that's what should be here, is Ryan Reynolds should be acting like Ben Kingsley's character, but the problem is it rushes so quickly through the Ben Kingsley sections, and I don't know if that's because they just couldn't afford his salary to stay through longer, but the Ben Kingsley sections are so rushed, and you don't get a vibe for who he is as a person. So when he transfers over to Ryan Reynolds, you can't tell how much is supposed to be Ryan Reynolds' character as Mark and how much Ryan Reynolds is trying to be like Ben Kingsley. You can't tell whose characteristics are whose. Like, how much is Mark's personality blending in through Ben Kingsley's character, and how much is just Ben Kingsley's character that Ryan Reynolds is trying to imitate? It's not clear at all, because none of these characters are very clearly defined. And that's kind of the problem. Like, the character of Mark himself only has one line through the entire movie. So Mark isn't defined as a character, Damien is barely defined as a character, and even then it's so bare bones you can't tell what his personality actually is. Mark's wife and daughter are also still thinly veiled characteristics that, because at some point we realize that these are memories of Mark's memories. Ben Kingsley's character tries to find his family and does miraculously. But then you finally meet them, and her whole role for the entire movie is to make dumb decisions and cry. That's her whole decision. So there is really good potential to delve into this interesting concept of what it is to face your own mortality, and what if you can get this out. You get this option to continue living, but through someone entirely different, and you can have they even vaguely explore it. Like, what is it to take over a new body? And it's so alien, and it's so confusing, and it's so frustrating for people trying to re-identify themselves that way, that some have suicidal tendencies, some you have to go through physical therapy to do it. You have to go through all these big changes. You have to come to this acceptance to it. But the problem is, the parts of the movie that they should be taking their time with and really delving into are done through fucking montages. And there's 3 or 4 montages in this movie. It's no, stop. That's the shit I want to see. I want to see him, how he accepts this big life change. I want to see how he adjusts to this. I want to see, does he go through depression? How does he accept this entirely new body, this entirely new identity? How does he accept that? That's interesting shit, but that's not what you get. You rush through that, so you get to this, these more action-packed thriller segments, which all of a sudden he can do kung fu. Fucking sure. Whatever. Shit like that just comes out of nowhere. You're just they vaguely explain why, but it's mostly just you're expected just to go with it. I was like, no. You have a big fancy sci-fi concept like this. Why aren't you exploring it more? Why aren't you doing more with this concept? That's the biggest crime, the biggest frustration of the movie, really, is the fact that you have an interesting concept here. Why aren't you doing more with it? Even after he acclimates to his new life, he's sent to his house in New Orleans, which is a very nice house, and he starts his new life there, and he just starts doing shit, and I find myself confused, is that something Ben Kingsley would do? Is that something his character would do? Why is he doing this? And why are we seeing him having more fun with this new body and this new life he's created for himself? Because then if you do that, if you establish that, then when he starts realizing that he's taken over somebody's life, it has a bigger impact, because he has to accept what he's taken and what he's going to lose should he choose to give it back. And they do give this whole option of that, yeah, he can give it back if he wanted to. If he stops taking the pills, Mark's brain takes back over. Because science! But they don't do that. Instead, it's done through montages, mostly of Ryan Reynolds playing basketball, which was confusing to me because Ben Kingsley's character up to that point showed no signs of no interest in sports in any way whatsoever. So I was like, wait, so is that something Mark would do? Is that something Ben Kingsley would do? What is going on here? But it doesn't really stop there. Then it starts introducing shit, and it stops making any sense. Because 2/3 of the way through this movie, Ben Kingsley, before he dies, has is his trusted friend who conveniently has his house in this ratchet. I think it was in the New Orleans or Montana or something like that. But either way, through various circumstances, he ends up going there to hide out. Meanwhile, it turns out that this guy's friend also has a son who got a new body through this company, and as a result, he's a traitor, and he sold out his friend, who, by the way, let's talk about the bad guys in this movie. It gets kind of confused. There's a point in this movie where I can't figure out why anyone's doing anything they're doing here. So, Ryan Reynolds finds the house of Mark, briefly meets his wife, and then the wife gets knocked out by this evil corporation who want to take him in because, hey, you're not supposed to be here. We gave this new thing, blah, blah, blah. But Ryan Reynolds, who, to his credit, gives a decent performance here. There's a lot of things wrong with this movie. Ryan Reynolds is not one of them. Ugh, I'm tired, guys. I'm so sorry if I sound out of it right now. But, this is what happens when you wait 5 extra hours before you eat. But they just randomly and all of a sudden, of course, Ryan Reynolds, very confused, decides to start fighting back a little bit. And then there's this guy that happened to live by him in New Orleans who acts as his friend named Anton, who, again, we don't get to see them build their relationship because their entire relationship building activities are done through a fucking montage. But anyway, it turns out Anton's the bad guy, and he wants to bring Ryan Reynolds back, and randomly decides he wants to kill him. Like, he makes big things like, no, we want him alive. Do not shoot him. We want him alive, until the two of them get into a fight. And then all of a sudden he just goes, shoot that motherfucker. Oh, that bitch. And that's basically what happens. And then he gets lit on fire. Wacky antics. Like, there's some shit in this, like, the bad guys start doing shit that makes no fucking sense. Like, for some reason at the same time, and this is happening, there's a guy outside the house randomly lighting, like, the girl's car on fire with a giant-ass flamethrower for no fucking reason that I can think of. I don't know what they were trying to do here. I don't know if they're trying to set something up, or I don't know. It's not explained. They're just doing that because I guess they brought a flamethrower, they wanted to use it. Either that, they're trying to, like, cut off stuff. I don't know. It doesn't make much sense. They don't explain it very much. Either way, wacky antics happen. Anton gets hit by a flamethrower, only to get into a new body later. Honestly, by the time the second body came around, I completely forgot that, who that character was. So it took me another third of the movie to realize, oh, that's who that was. These characters are so forgettable. This is a movie, like, I'm gonna forget almost everything about it by a week's time. I'm not gonna remember anything about this. It's not the worst movie I've seen. You're not even close, but it's like, you could have done so much more with this, and you're not. You could have explored, like, what it means to take someone else's life like that, and they vaguely do. Basically, you say, this is wrong. Okay, and? Yeah. Anyway, back to the point that was bugging me, though, is, the family that the refugee out has a small child who turns out, their original son died a couple years ago, so this is, like, the one they transferred his conscience over into. Okay. But here's my question about that, is Ryan Reynolds' character, went there willingly. He went there willingly, he sold his body to them, basically, so his daughter would live. So that leaves me with two horrible situations here. One is that they kidnapped the little kid to transfer from the other little kid, or the worst option, the worst option being the fact that the parents of whoever this kid originally was sold them to this company. So that's a whole nother thing they just glance over right away. And then for some reason, Damien didn't know about the second kid, so that's how he knows that, oh, wait a minute, that must be I don't want to say shredded kid, but a shedding, like a shedded kid. But then again, why didn't this guy just tell Damien that he adopted a new son, and that's who that was? I don't know why, but so much of this movie doesn't make any fucking sense. And that's the problem. Like, this could, if you'd done this right, you could have had a ex machina, really introspective, interesting science fiction movie about facing your mortality and what the cost of doing that kind of stuff is, what it means to take another person's life, take over someone else's life. What it means to start over from scratch, what would you do if you could be young again, all that kind of cool stuff. I mean, these are not things that have not been done before, but you could do some interesting shit with this. This movie did not need to be a thriller. It was clearly only made a thriller because they wanted to promote it as a blockbuster, which they surprisingly didn't. In the trailers we saw, like the more thriller action-packed segments of the movie are not really explained through the trailer. So I didn't even know this was a thriller until I saw a review online. So it's like, this is just a lot of wasted potential of very good actors. I mean, I like Ryan Reynolds. I think Ryan Reynolds, given the right role, could do a very good job. I mean, I applaud him for trying something different, and I feel bad that he keeps getting stuck in these shit-ass roles. And of course, you have Ben Kingsley, who, again, is barely in the movie and barely leaves a fucking impact because his character's fucking boring. Everyone in this movie is so dry. They're so boring. Again, there's so much wasted potential. There's so much wasted talent. There's really not much else to say about this movie. Like, even the action isn't very good. Jesus. Sorry, this big-ass truck behind me. There's apparently very powerful engine. I mean, there's a couple parts where the action gets so silly, you kind of laugh at it. The rest of the time, it's just forgettable. And I'm tired, otherwise I go on with this more. So this is going to be a shorter review. I'm sorry, guys. But, yeah, I really don't have much else to say about this. So, I only got one. Do I recommend this movie? Not really. I mean, they're just like... As a thriller, it doesn't really work. As a sci-fi movie, it doesn't really work. There's not much dumb fun to be had here to make it really interesting. It's kind of just a boring movie. I mean, there was a point where I looked at my phone while I was in there because it was like me and like 4 or 5 other people. And I looked at it, I realized, crap, I'm only an hour into this movie. It feels like I've been here for 2. You could have done so much more with this. That's the biggest crime. It's like, you could have done so much more. But again, maybe that's just me lamenting what this movie could have been compared to what it actually is. No, I don't recommend it. No, I don't. This movie sucked. So, I only got one trailer, and that was for Fantastic Four, which I've kind of said my piece on about before. It's like, no matter what I see of it, no matter what pictures I see, no matter what movie clips I see, no matter what trailers, I don't know what I feel about it. I don't know if I think it's gonna be good. I don't know if I think it's gonna be bad. I just don't know. It's up in the air. I'm hoping it'll be good, but it could just as easily suck ass. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. So, yeah, I hope this is a good video, guys. I don't really know on this one, so I hope you guys all liked it. We'll be back tomorrow. Sarah and I are gonna go check out Minions. So, thank you all for watching, and see you all next time.